Alright, this video I want to give some feedback on that movie John Wick. I found out about this movie. I watched the movie. It stars Keanu Reeves, and my feedback is that I love the movie. I mean, it's not that it's like has like a huge meaning, but it's just like action packed, and the action is exactly the type of action that I envision for like real combat. To me, that movie symbolizes like what it means to be like a real martial artist for like modern day, which incorporates like firearms and things of that nature. Um, he's John Wick, or Keanu Reeves in the movie, is pretty much portraying like what a real martial artist would be for today. You know, it is still, of course, a fantasy because when you're incorporating the use of firearms, it's just, there's no room for mistake. And you could be as proficient as you like to be, but you know, if people are shooting at you and so many people are shooting at you in real life, chances are you're gonna get shot. And another thing is, having no concern of the law and just basically killing as many people as you want to kill. That's not realistic for like real life. But as far as like the example, as far as the expression of combat in that movie is like, to me, like very realistic as far as the choreography and everything. Of how firearms training and firearms, how it would really go down, and how if you practice enough, you can be very proficient, and you could take out a lot of people based on that proficiency. In that movie, he was using like multiple guns, and he had bulletproof vests. He had knives. I mean, there's like multiple people coming after him. He was pretty much like a former professional hitman, and he was just very proficient in what he did. His movements, very quick and swift and very accurate and precise, and it was just, it was an amazing movie. To me, like one of the best action movies that I've ever seen. And it's not like a martial art movie per se, but as I stated, in modern day, that's exactly how I view martial arts to be. If you watch that movie, you'll see what I'm talking about. Some more commentary on Keanu Reeves. He's half Asian and half white. I found that out, and when I think about it, I started to gain a lot more respect for him, especially after watching that movie. And also, one of my favorite movies of all time is Matrix, and he stars in that movie. And I think about him being in Matrix. I think about him being in this movie John Wick and doing a great job. He did a great job in Matrix as well, and him being in other films like Speed, and there's another movie that he I think he maybe even directed, but it's like A Man of Tai Chi. I saw that movie too. And there's another movie called Ronin that he was in. And when I think about it, I'm like, this guy Keanu Reeves is really working hard towards promoting the Eastern culture. And he has a lot of opportunities, and he's been in so many films, and he's very popular. He's famous, and he's not just limited to like one type of film. Like, he's not just in action and that's it. Like, he has a lot of different various types of roles. Some of these roles might be romance roles, or movies of drama. It's not just action for him. I respect him as an actor, and I respect how he's promoting the Eastern culture through his films. And he also starred in a couple of my favorite films of all time, which is The Matrix and John Wick. And him being half Asian and half white, it's like, that's almost like the closest that we're gonna get into, for Asians to be enabled to star in a Hollywood film. It's like they never want to put an Asian American as a star in a film. They never want to do it. Bruce Lee was the first and the last, it seems like. But it's like, because Keanu Reeves is half Caucasian, they let him in through the door, and he has like many opportunities. And when I really think about it as well, what I thought about is like, you know what? I feel that Keanu Reeves is like the living Brandon Lee. Like if Bruce Lee's son didn't die, he'd be making films just like the way Keanu Reeves is making films. And Brandon Lee is half white and half Asian as well. Keanu Reeves is half white and half Asian. And Bruce Lee's son wasn't just into martial arts films. He wanted to be able to be versatile and have, to be starring in many different types of films. It wasn't just about fighting for him. And it's the same thing with Keanu Reeves. He's not just about action films and just fighting. He's very versatile in what he does. And it's a tragedy that Brandon Lee had to die, but it's almost like Keanu Reeves is the Brandon Lee that would have lived. And he's acting but he's doing it all discreetly. It's almost like Keanu Reeves, is like a hidden martial artist. Like he doesn't claim to be a martial artist. He's not like somebody like Wesley Snipes or Jean-Claude Van Damme or Michael Joe White or Scott Adkins or these people that are claiming that I'm a martial artist. Like Keanu Reeves is not really like that. He's not like claiming that he's a martial artist, but I feel that he's like the hidden martial artist. He's like humble. He's not obviously he's not like as ripped as any of these people like Jean-Claude Van Damme or Wesley Snipes or Michael Joe White and Scott Adkins. He's not like ripped like them, but he's representing to me like more of the spiritual side of the martial arts, more like he's promoting the culture and the teachings of the East, whereas these other actors that I just mentioned, they're not doing that really. I don't see that happening. The only movie that I saw, the action movie that I saw Michael Joe White in, was just a movie about him being in prison. He's just fighting people. I didn't see any promotion of any type of culture or philosophy or anything. But Matrix is like, to me, one of the all-time best action movies ever out there that really dive deeply into like Eastern philosophy and the true way of life. And Keanu Reeves also did The Man of Tai Chi, and he also is in other films that are trying to promote like these Eastern values. So I think he's like more of a low-key, discreet, like undercover, like hidden martial artist. It's just that he's just not as like ripped up and doesn't train as hard as somebody like Bruce Lee. And even Brandon Lee wasn't training as hard as Bruce Lee, and he knew that he could never live up to his father, so he just wanted to go his own path. And Brandon Lee wasn't all that ripped up either, and he wasn't all that into the martial arts, as Bruce Lee was. So I see a lot of parallels, and I see a lot of parallels, and I see a lot of things in common that Brandon Lee had with Keanu Reeves. And it sucks that Bruce Lee's dead, but it's just nice when you have somebody that could essentially almost replace his role, as far as maybe Jet Li is concerned or maybe Donnie Yen is concerned, as far as like trying to give us some sort of replacement for what we lost in Bruce Lee. And then with Brandon Lee, it's a tragic tragedy that he died suddenly. But if you also just open your eyes and see that, hey, who's the living Brandon Lee for today? And it could be Keanu Reeves. In that movie John Wick, I mean, you don't need to be ripped up to basically execute the techniques that he executed in that movie. Like, it's very real to life, and to the point where he even got shot in the film, and he was like wounded, and he had to he had to patch himself up and everything. It's not like he went through the whole movie fighting like 10,000 people and never getting shot once. I mean, he got shot, several times, and he wore a bulletproof vest, and then they shot him in the vest. Like, it was very, very like just raw. Like this is like some real stuff. He was just like very, very fluid, and the choreography and everything was just amazing to me. Where most action films it's not believable. It's very just nonsense. Somebody's like pointing a gun at somebody, pointing at them for like 10 hours, talking to them, and then he gets disarmed, or it's just a bunch of nonsense. It's not how real gunfight would be. But I feel that John Wick, is very like real. Like he was like hyper aware and sensitive to his surroundings, and when he felt that danger, he just started like defending himself with the weapons, and it was amazing. And to me, that's what real life survival would be like. If you had to fight, and defend yourself with a firearm, and it has less and less to do with how strong you actually are or how fast you actually are. It's like it's a different game out there when it comes to firearms. A lot of it is pretty much awareness and reaction and just movement and agility, and just it's a different game. And I recommend people to watch that movie and to just kind of, in a way, just pay attention to Keanu Reeves and what he's doing. People ask me questions all the time about, what do you think about this fighter? What do you think about this boxer? What do you think about this martial arts actor? But it's like people don't realize that there's somebody like Keanu Reeves who's pretty much representing the martial arts a lot more holistically than these other people that are being mentioned. Because to me, if Brandon Lee was still living, I'd say that he's like a real martial artist. He's just more humble, more undercover, where he's not claiming to be the best. He's not like, fighting for any titles. He's just humbly doing his stuff, acting, and just playing in various different roles. I respect these type of actors that are versatile in their roles. I respect like a Keanu Reeves and a Brandon Lee and a Denzel Washington and a Will Smith. I respect those type of actors where they could just do different types of roles. They're not just limited to just fighting and that's it. So, but that's my feedback on that, John Wick.